taking this rubber band gun and putting it on my flatbed scanner. I scanned it in 2 sections because it's longer than my flatbed scanner. So I got the handle part and then the extended barrel. And then I just took the 2 pieces together. And after I did that, I went around it with a freehand vector drawing tool and went around it and just drew a rough estimate of the handle, which came out pretty good. And then I used this tool right here to fit all the curves to the selected vectors. And of course, after I draw it in, made it smooth, which it's created quite a few of the things. And then I went in there, and this is what I came up with. It's nice smooth vectors. And then we'll look at it under node mode. I'm going to press N, look at the different nodes. And wow, this thing put a whole bunch more. Well, it put some more extra nodes in there just because it's drawn up. But it turned it into Belzers and cleaned it up. And it did a real nice job of the finish work, cutting it out. And I didn't really care about this edge here, where it came into play. And I had a little trouble with these breaking out. And of course, the hole is a pocket hole, and that's pretty much straightforward. On this particular deal, I used a 1/4 inch end mill. My stock is 1.5 inches wide, so I'm cutting down into the table about 1/8 of an inch, not quite. And then my end mill was 1/4 inch, and I'm doing a 1/4 inch step over on that 60 inches per minute or 50 inches per minute. So I'm going to cut that in like 7 passes, and then going outside this, cutting it off. Then on my tabs, I added a couple more tabs. I had this thing kind of breaking free on me a couple times, and I made 10 of them. Well, I wanted to make 12, but I ended up coming out with 10. And the reason why is because I didn't have enough tabs here holding this thing together. And this would get to floating around, then it would knock the bit out because it would kick. So anyway, I added a couple more tabs to the mix, and then I decided to put a couple screws in the center here. So that kind of fixed that up. Anyway, that was that part of it. And then I also made one that was just a little bit smaller in size. We'll click close on that one. I'm not going to save any changes to it. And we're going to go to the 20-inch gun. And this one is 20 inch, the other one's 24 because I had a remnant of the 2/6, which is so nice. You can just sit there and scale the thing and get done, but it's basically set for the same settings as the other file. Anyway, that is the setup with V-Carve. And well, we got something going together here, and I'm working on the process. There's a bunch more to do. I basically modified this a little bit, and I'm going to modify it just a little bit more. I need to put a stop out here where the handle comes into play. But basically, it's going here with the deal up, and you make sure that those are fitting. Then you take one of these guys over here and put them in the slot right here. And I had this all the way through, and where you can slip it in, but there was just too much friction there for me to be too good with. So anyway, that little wedge in there, keep them nice and tight for alignment. Then I'll take my drill and drill it up through there, and then run a couple screws up through there. Then when I'm done with that, we'll router them all and put a nice edge around them. Alright, the way this works is you just put that little guy right in there. He fits in there nice and tight. You put this other little guy over the top of this, and this is your drilling guide. And your drills fit in there, they all line up. And you take your drill bit and you hit your pilot holes and you ring this in there. Alright, I've got to hit those and the heads of that. So I'm basically holding it in my hand, and then makes me a couple little countersinks for my screws. And what they end up coming out like. So there we go. Let's get the rest of them done. Alright, this is my little wedge piece that just keeps this all nice and tight and flat. And of course I'm drilling that and then running my 2 screws in there. When they're done, they'll be about like that into that. There'll be 2 of them. Down in there. So that'll strengthen the head. Then this is of course my gidget for keeping it tight against this one side. So it's working out pretty good. Alright, there's my coal stack. Cut out a lot of old knots that were in some of these. So I had to pull them out and keep them from doing it. And some of the other pine had some big knots in it as well. Jimmy brought by some wood, and it had been used for concrete form, so I ran it through the sander that takes, about half of it, about half the width of it was in concrete, so just one side. So I just ran it through the sander and cleaned it up a little bit so I could run it without hurting my machines and blades and tools. And anyway, so all the handles was made from that stuff, and that's what it turned out. I got a few boards left, and I'm going to run them on the router now, get them around and over, and go to town on that. And this is the jig. I put the date on them. Pickaxe jig, and it's 2025, May of 2025. I made 36 of them, and I like to go back sometimes and look at these, and I'll hang that over my jig area. And if I ever want to make them again in 4 years or whatever years, then I'll have them made up. So the biggest part, they came out pretty good. There's a couple that's got a little knot or 2 in it, but they were pretty sound. And just got screws running down inside there, and I'm going to run them over the router and clean them up. Being a small shop, I just dangle a cord over there on a hook, and then I pull it out there and I hit the individual machines. That's a dedicated circuit. The cord's just a little bit light, but it does pretty good. One time it really gets a little warm if I'm running that sander on it for a long time, but for the biggest part, everything pretty well runs on it. But this is a router box that I've got in here. This lifts out of here like that. Of course, this is switch that turns it off and on, and top vac is turned on by that right there, and it runs through this hose, takes it all over there to the dust deputy into the hose. So helps out to clean up some of that, keep the dust out of the air. And of course, up there at the top, I got a box up there filtering the air. You can see it blowing. It comes on when I turn the lights on in the shop. Looks like I need to clean the filter a little bit. Anyway, 36 of them, I need to route them over. Alrighty, looks like 4 more left to route. And they're cleaning up pretty good. A whole lot better to hold on to than the old square edged. Square edged, carrying that for a while, it would definitely be giving you a splinter or a cut hand. So anyway, I'll mess on my routers. Of course, throwing a little bit on the side there, and then I had the vacuum, so a large chunk of it's down over in the bucket, but this is what's left on the outside. Let's get to finishing them up. All right, 36 of them guys, all ready to go. There, one of them lasered. This is my scrap one, my first one. It's got the holes in it and stuff. The rest of them came out pretty clean. Some of them got little knots in it, but the biggest part pretty clean. 36 of them. There we go. You know, sometimes when you go to the lumber yard, you look at stuff and you think, it's all going to be the same. These were studs, 2x6 studs. They were 92 and 5/8. They're regular 2x6, 8, thin grade, was $9 and some odd cents, and these were $5.35. It's almost $3.50 for an extra 9 inches of board. So I ended up buying 3 of these and got my boards out of those 2, and then I got me an extra one sitting over there for a little less money than $3 less than the other 2 boards that were priced at that. So yeah, so sometimes you want to check at it. Right now I'm in the process of putting these together, and what I did is I put this on a flatbed scanner, scanned about right there, and then I scanned the other side of it, and then I checked my dimensions and everything, and figured to make them out of a 2:6. That's what I remember doing it in 2015. Yeah, 2015. And so I've got it cutting out right now. Right now, she's cutting the holes for the fingers right now. And then after it gets done with that, it's going to go around and do the outline. So sometimes you're better off just to do a pocket, simply because you don't have that puck coming out of there and going and throwing it down. So, you know, just having that part of it. Blue tape doesn't want to hold a little puck like that, even on that surface area for the amount of work that's going on. So anyway, so that makes a nice hole, and then it's going to start going around and cutting out the shape. All right. There them 2 guys are. That took 18 minutes and 48 seconds. Of course, I'll run a V bit down here and glue on 2 deals and do a round over first. But anyway, this has been held in with tabs, and that's the side of the gun. And let me go ahead and get that out and look at it. Alright. See what we look like. Looking pretty good there. There's our tabs. Round cut bit. Let's see what we got out of it. Alrighty. Came out nice, sanded up nice. I can sand them up a little bit more, but they're going to get beat up by the boys. Anyway, there's the prototype. There we go. Alright, 18 minutes and 46 seconds. Cut them out. Might go a little faster, but that's alright. It's doing a good job. 24 inches by 5.5 by 1.5 inches. And then I just put a V through down the center of it. And that's the base for my gun. This is a wild one that my Z got loose, and your Z gets loose and it goes crazy on you, then that's what happens. Yeah, happens.